Yes, sir. All right. All right. All right, y'all. We'll be live in a few minutes, having a little technical stuff. Let's see. All right. Let's see. That's why you got to give yourself a little time so you're not rushing around. All right. So let's see. I hope everybody's doing well. Happy New Year's, by the way. Let's see. Make sure I can see who's here today. Mm-mm-mm. All right. All right. So morning, y'all. So, all right, we'll be getting started. Ryan will be joining us in a little bit, but I'll kick off the show, keep y'all entertained. Let's see. So, welcome to another episode of Mornings with Movers. I'm Dwight Mack. Like I said, Ryan should be joining us shortly. But in the meantime, I hope you guys had an amazing holiday. I know we're in a new year, new goals. This is the time where people set these New Year's goals and then fall off after 2 weeks. So we want to make sure that you guys are definitely setting the goals where you guys can maintain consistency across the year. So I want to go over an article just specifically based around, increasing your movers' pay without increasing their pay. This is the latest blog that I actually wrote, where you could be incentivizing your movers, where I know they've been probably driving you crazy around this time of year, work is slow, but everybody want to get paid more. And then when the summer comes around, no one wants to work. It happens every year. So don't, I hold down 20 guys in the winter months and then come summer month, I'm like, guys, we got the work for you guys. And none of them show. You know, Typical stuff for moving. So with that being said, I want to help you guys be able to incentivize you guys without necessarily breaking the bank. So five or six ways you guys can be doing this. So the first way you guys can be doing it is through Google reviews. So for every 5-star or 4-star review that these guys get, you could be incentivizing. Now I would typically do it off of 5-star reviews, I'll be honest. And the way we used to do it was we used to say, hey, the position with the most 5 stars. So like we would break it up in drivers and movers. So movers kind of competing with movers, drivers competing with drivers, and we'll say, hey, whoever's the top two to get the most 5 stars in a month, we would give them something based on the number of 5-star reviews they got. So if they have six, we'll say, hey, so if you got six, we'll give you 8 hours of additional pay in your next check starting the next month. If you had and also because you had six, you also qualified for another reward where we would give like movie tickets, free massages to our massage parlor that we had connection. Hey everybody, my name is Dwight Mack with Max Moving Training. So we're gonna be doing a move and a pack today. But before we go in, there's just 10 basic rules that we just need to know before participating with this service. So number one, understand moving is a very stressful thing. The customer, they're uplifting their life from one location to another. They're having to call all these vendors and get all these suppliers in place so that basically they can make that transition. So their stress level is at the highest right now. We need to be a service provider that comes in and basically keep that stress level mitigated or very low. Come in as professionals and do our job the way we know how to do our job so that this customer is less stress during that move process. Number two,
be on time. First impression is everything. You guys showing up outside of the window rubs the customer the wrong way. It messes up the rest of the move process. Even if you guys do the best job y'all can do, because one thing was off, you know, this customer's mood is just off. Go up and beyond. Be there before the time. As long as they're okay with it.
Obviously, we would have to pay them, but it would be free for the movers. Um, and or we would do $25 gift cards. So we had a like a affordable table that it was like, okay, you know what, this won't break the bank for building our brand. And it gives the guys a sense of competition as well that we were doing it that way. Um, Also, you can offer them $10 to $20 for every 5-star review, mentioning their name that they got a review from. So, you check your Google reviews, whether it's weekly or monthly or whatever the case is, and you go back to that day, you're like, oh, who serviced this customer? Oh, well, if they mention the name, now one, it doesn't become that difficult for you to track down, and then two, now you can incentivize those guys like $10 or $20 extra for each review that they received. Um, you can also get video testimonials. That is crucial because basically that you can add that to your website. People can just be seeing how great your guys are doing in front of their moving trucks, having customers talk about your company in front of your moving trucks goes a long way. And there's been plenty of times I got calls where customers like, I chose you because I loved your reviews. Your reviews were awesome. And that's what we're doing all this for. We're doing it for the experience. We're doing it for, to build a brand, build a name. And again, just have a way where you can track the reviews and reward bonuses. Um, so that basically it doesn't become a challenge. And that's one thing. Everything has to become trackable. Everything has to become measurable. Whether you create a spreadsheet and that spreadsheet has, multiple tabs, but the first tab is like, hey, Google reviews. Um, First column, customer name. Second column, the mover or driver's names. And then maybe the third column, the number of reviews they received. And then basically you can even have it do the math if you have Excel skills where you say, oh, well, they got the X amount of reviews, they got times how much they're going to get paid per review, and then it tallies it up. And then at the end of the month or the beginning of the month, the next month, you put it in their payroll. Hey guys, you got 5 reviews at $20. That's going to be $100 going into your check. Make it simple, but make it again measurable and trackable that you're not losing your mind at the end of every month. All right. So then number two, safety and damage-free bonuses. So basically, obviously, you guys know where I'm going with this. If they don't get a claim, if these guys are working as safe as as possible, reward them. Let them know that for every job that they get done safe without a claim, they're gonna get rewarded. So, and we got Ryan in the building.
Ooh.
I know he hasn't been feeling well, so I keeps the talking going, yeah. Uh,
Yeah, man. Sorry. Obviously, still sound like a train hit me here, but we might be late, but we still made it. We wouldn't miss the mornings of movers if we didn't have to.
I hear that. So yeah, pretty much I was going over with the audience, 5 or 6 ways that they could be raising their movers' pay without raising their hourly wage. And we went over already, the 5-star Google review bonuses and what they could be doing in that aspect of things. Now we're talking about safety and damage-free bonuses. So again, for me, I paid it out yearly, but you could pay it out monthly or quarterly. And again, it's based on how safe these guys are working. For me, what I would do is, in this case, for every week, because I was kind of had a budgeting system for every week that all the revenue that we made that week, I would put 5% of my revenue, not even 5%. Sorry, that's a little high. 2 to 3% of my revenue that I made that week into a pot, claims pot. So, and this pot was solely to pay out any claims that, obviously wasn't an insurance claim. And we didn't have very many insurance claims. If it went that far, we did bad. Um, but it was enough that basically if you're doing 60 to 30 cents per pound, you had money to pay it, and it didn't hurt your regular cash flow ongoingly. So every week I'll put away 2 to 3%, and then any claims that we got will come out of that pot. But also that pot was building solely to pay out the movers and drivers for working safe. Now, obviously, if somebody got a claim, it would go on a claim tracker saying, "Hey, John got a claim. The claim came out to this much." And obviously the pot would got reduced, and you would let everybody know weekly, "Hey guys, on the board, the pot is building. It built from 6,000 to 7,000 this week, but because we got a claim, it went down, and they've seen it go down. They're seeing it increase, and they're like, why did it go down? Oh, well, ask your friend John. Now, don't be mad at him, but ask your friend John. He know why. He know why." Uh, and then they start to hold each other accountable, like, "Yo, we can't be losing money because you don't know how to pick stuff up." And they start to probably hopefully work with that person to make sure that that pot stays good versus kind of like bickering amongst each other. And at the end of the year, we would just divvy that whole pot up, whether it was 11,000 in the pot or whatever the case is. Now they wouldn't get the whole 11,000. Don't get me wrong. You got to save some going into the next year just in case January 1st that claim come in. But you would give them enough of that pot where pretty much I would probably give them out of that pot, out of 11, I'll probably break up probably about 7,000. And in actual reality, it'd probably be about 6,000 because $1,000 need to pay for that taxes. And the 6,000 you could break up amongst the guys. And when they start to see, oh, well, 6,000 broken up amongst who's here currently, oh, we're going to be getting a nice Christmas bonus. And it could work that way where it's not overbearing to do it so frequently, like monthly or quarterly or whatever the case is. You could do it even biannually if it made sense. Did y'all have a strategy for damage-free claims?
Yeah, actually, we had and bear with me here because I might like squeak out and sound like a car that needs a new exhaust here. But yeah, we definitely had valuation. So we sold valuation, right? So every time we sold valuation, that particular line item would go into what I would call a bucket, right? So a valuation account. And then every quarter, if depending on where our claims were to what we collected, we actually did pay out on those claims, that claims money to our crew. So we didn't do the yearly or the bi-yearly or the weekly, but what have you, but we did it basically every quarter is what we do. So if we ended up collecting, $60,000 that particular quarter in valuation, because we did sell valuation on over 60% of our jobs, and our claims rate was, less than 2% or whatever the case was, we'd actually bonus that out to the team. So basically, for their hard work in stopping claims, we're collecting claims money. We just push that out to them, and you could really see our claims drastically come to, I don't want to say a complete halt, because there's always going to be some type of claim, like no matter how great your crew is, but it was very few and far between that we did have a claim. Now the thing is with any of this, Dwight, I know I jumped in about 10 minutes late. My apologies again, but however you want to bonus out and pay the guys and what have you, you just got to make sure you track it and track it like crazy.
Number 3, make sure your team is in uniform, they're groomed, their hygiene is checked, because that's the worst thing you could do, especially going in a house. Customer can smell your guy from a mile away, and now, again, their mood is just thrown off. So make sure that you guys are in uniform, you're tight, you have uniform shirts, it doesn't look like, you have a laborer that's, hired from off the street. Presentation is everything that goes towards your first impression. Number 4, introduce both you and your partner when greeting the customer. Don't just go to the door by yourself, while your driver is unloading the truck, and introduce yourself. Actually have both of you there. Introduce yourself first, then introduce your partner second, and then, allow them to welcome you into their home.
If you tell the guys you're going to do something, hey, every month we're going to bonus out on this, and that, and you do it for 2, 3 months, and then you miss a month because you fell off or it's peak season or what have you, you're not going to get the same buy-in with the guys. And I was definitely one at fault of that as well, of start off really hot and heavy on the tracking, and then just naturally kind of slowly fell off, and then you slowly start guys not showing up in uniform, showing up a little bit late, started
Hmm.
having a little bit more claims. So you could kind of see that raw effect of not following through with the pieces that you did. So I'd say whatever you do, keep it simple. Have some basic metrics to track it, and have it in some sort of program so you can track it to make it easier on yourself as the owner or ops guy or whoever's managing this program.
Exactly. And that's exactly key. You want to keep it as simple as possible. They talk about it's almost like how you build a referral program. And that's probably one of the ways as well as you can incentivize your guys. And we'll get to that part. But it's like almost like how you build a referral program and you need an advocator to actually manage this referral program because and I don't even know if it's the right word as an advocator, but it sounds good. So you need that thing to make sure that pretty much somebody is managing this area of referrals. So we built our referral program, and one of the CRMs that we dealt with as well allowed us to build a referral system where basically you could send the person a referral link if they started referring customers to your service or whatever the case is. It would just like they could just send the link. You can track them, and then basically as the moves progress or whatever the case is, you could be sending an email out to those customers like, hey, so yeah, we're gonna be moving um Jane and let on this date and everything is going great. And then basically have feedback at the end of the move. Yes, the move went great. And then basically have a bonus system for that customer. So, oh well, hey, there's 1 point for every dollar that customer spent. So if it was $1,000, that person gets 1,000 points. And then you have a system that follows behind that that gives that customer well, hey, if that customer has 15,000 points and referrals for that month, well, not for that month, but for that year, they qualify for gifts. It's almost like credit card rewards. So they qualify for TVs, a 50-inch TV or a PlayStation or whatever is lined up in your system based on how many points of referral that they accumulated for that year. So it's like an awesome Christmas gift, but it becomes hard to maintain all of that as an owner. It's that lone wolf effect. You can't do it all. Have you heard of something like that before, Ryan?
I have, and actually, I was in a previous life. I was a part of a program like this, where what you did, you earned points, and then at the end, and you could spend those points on any of the prizes that you wanted to, whenever you wanted to, right? But it reminded me of very similar to like going to a Dave and Buster's, right? So just hear me out on this one. I spent $200 to play games, right? I earned 25,000 points, and I was able to go back and cash out the 25,000 points and get a little Swedish fish candy and a little rubber ball with 25,000 points. Um, so it was saddening, let's just say,
Yes,
for the
but at
particular
that time it was
role.
probably joyous.
I had well, yeah, because in my mind I had 200 and I think I had like 250 some odd thousand points. So I'm like, ooh, maybe a TV, maybe a this, maybe a that, maybe a vacation. And then in reality, all I was able to get was like a $25 gift card. And it was
Ah,
like, I did all this work for a $25 gift card. Like, I'm not
yeah.
referring anybody to you anymore because that's just not that I don't like. I mean, I guess if you're going to have a rewards program or something, make it worthwhile, right? Because one thing I didn't mind is I don't mind referring people to great services, knowing that the people are going to get taken care of. That's ultimately my number one, right? So to me, it's a bonus on my behalf of, hey, if this realtor or somebody, whoever, has like a referral type program like you're talking about, I think it's great. Just make it worthwhile because honestly, once I had my 250,000 points of referrals, I went to cash those in and basically got a gumball and a plastic leapfrog. I was just kind of like, man, that kind of it almost took the. I almost wish they didn't have a program. I would just rather just
Mhm.
refer them at that point, because my expectation versus what I got was, yeah, it put me right back at Dave and Buster's.
Yeah. Well, you could do a 3-day all paid all paid vacation, to somewhere, not too crazy, but three
How many
days.
points do you need though? I had
I think
250,000
I think
points.
that's like 25,000 points. That sounds about right. But even then, 25,000, all right, that's a little a lot because technically these people are just referring business. They don't know how much you're gonna, but it got to be worth it for you because a 3 day all paid vacation, that's hotel, that's the plane, you
You
know.
better be sending me lots of business.
So it definitely got to be worth it. But again, you need somebody to track it and measure it. And I try to track it on a spreadsheet. And again, it got messy. It became a lot to keep track of. And ultimately I fell off.
You touch
But
on any employee referral monies? I think we talked about this a couple weeks ago, but another way to incentivize the guys and bonus the guys is I feel like in the Senate, we're always looking for labor. We're always looking to grow our team. What better way than to have your staff be the headhunters for your organization? They know what the culture is like. They know how to work. They know what the workflow looks like. And typically, like if Dwight's gonna stick his neck out and bring Ryan into the company Dwight's working for, you think Ryan's probably going to work a little bit better? You think Dwight's going to oversee Ryan a little bit more? Probably. I would say 100% yeah. So, I know I think, yeah, we did talk about this. I think it
yeah.
was like after 3 months, it was like 150 bucks payout. After 6 months, 300. After a year, 500. That's where you were like, nope, I'm only paying 20 bucks.
Right. We just get a little crazy with that.
It was Dwight and
But
Buster's. Dwight and Buster's is what I.
so, all right. So, the next one we have is team efficiency bonuses. So, time is money in the moving industry. Encourage crews to work efficiently by offering them bonuses for completing jobs within or under the estimated time while maintaining quality. So, this is a good one, because we it's one of those things where this is a report that you want to track anyways. It's a variance report. That's what it's called. I almost forgot the name. So the variance report is basically saying how many jobs or what specific jobs went over the estimated time or was under the estimated time. And this is a good report that a lot of people probably don't even pay attention to because and the reason why you want to pay attention to it is because basically you need to know if your estimates are even accurate. So if you see that there's primarily multiple jobs that's been overbooked and then they get done sooner, and obviously, hopefully, you're charging the customer for the time that it took and not the time you estimated, you're going to see in your report that, oh, geez, for the month, we estimated 80,000 moves, but we only brought in about 65,000 moves. And you're like, hmm, okay. And that's not bad. That's not a bad variance at all. But if it's like something where you only brought in 54,000, but you estimated 80,000, now that's a problem. That means that you're overselling. And if you're overselling, that means that customers are likely not going to want to go with you because you're too expensive. But if you're underselling, it's just as bad because that means that now customers are frustrated that they had to pay more money. So it's a double-edged sword where you want to be at. And ideally is that plus or minus 10% is where you want to be at.
Yep.
All right. I don't know if I'm hitting home on this report, but you let me know.
No, I think you're making a great point, but before you can run the variance report, I think you need to peel the onion back, at least for me. And again, I know I operated different in the moving world, but what does your process look like? How are you coming up with these estimates, right? I know so many people today that the phone rings. Oh, you got a 3 bedroom apartment? Oh, yeah. 5.5 hours, three guys. Here's your price. So to me, like how accurate your variance report really truly is going to rely on how accurate is your estimating. Are you doing surveys? Are you doing just phone surveys? Are you going to the house? Are you doing virtuals? Um, because we were within that 5 to 7% range on our variance report, which I thought was awesome. I thought was really, really, really good. But again, we had a process in place, so we never sent our guys on a 5 hour job knowing it was potentially going 7 or 8, or we didn't book something for 8 hours and our guys knocked it out in 4. So to me, that's kind of more in the sales process, the estimating process. But if you got a really tight system there, and now you want to find a way to leverage a little bit of bonus for your guys to keep it within there, that's we didn't bonus out on that, but I kind of like where I like where you're heading with this one. But to me, it's
Mhm.
going to take both sides of that wheel. If wheels have two sides, I don't know if that's true or not. But your team's got to do their job. Moving crews got to do their job. But ultimately, it depends on how did the estimator or the sales rep set this job up. Did they set the team up for failure, or did they set them up to win? Is kind of how I see this potentially playing out.
Yeah. So I mean, I see, being out here being distracted in these streets. But no, so it does come down to the, like you said, the sales process. But in order for you, again, it goes back and forth. It comes down to the sales process, but it goes to the point that if you don't know that there is a variance, you don't know what to coach on. You
Hey,
know, I built spreadsheets to make it easier for my team to um, quote customers moves. And I was always adjusting that spreadsheet because I realized that, okay, well, maybe they're a little inaccurate. Maybe there's something where we don't know how many boxes this customer has. And if we don't know how many boxes this customer has, then that's going to make us inaccurate as well. But if we know how many cubic feet they have in their home, we could project based on a formula how many boxes this customer could potentially have, which then helps with determining the ultimate cubes as a projection. Because nobody could be 100% accurate, but the more and more you keep testing this and dialing in, you realize it. And then looking at that variance report at the end of the year, or even if you look at it monthly because you're having ongoing sales meetings.
why not do a
What?
virtual survey?
Huh?
Virtual survey. Get yourself a box count. Now, I hear this all the time. Well, if the customer's not packed and we're doing a virtual survey, how do we know how many boxes the customer's going to pack? I cubed everything up like it was a carrier pack order at all
Mhm.
times, right? Because my big thing was if even if it was the PBO order, can I get the customer to have a hybrid pack or a full pack? So I always cube things up like it was a carrier pack order. So I knew, hey, if our team was to pack this order, I'm going to have X amount of boxes or X amount of cube. And that's how I was able to do that. But
Yeah, but
I'm still,
even with having like we use Live Switch
mhm.
and having the customer go around the house, record their house, giving us a general idea of what they had wasn't 100% accurate. With figuring out how
You
we
weren't within 10%.
oh, we was always within 10%, but it was a method that we used that helped. And it was weird because, later in the years they speaking to other people, kind of started to change that method up a little bit. So we used to do it based on the number of bedrooms. So originally when we first started, I think um Moving Help gave us this sheet on how to estimate moves. But it was weird because Moving Help usually booked the move for you. So it was weird. But I took the guide. And and they said for every one bedroom, load it is 2 hours and to unload it is 1 hour. So we said, okay, well, hey, we got a one bedroom place. I'm assuming that's including the living room and kitchen. That is going to take about 2 hours to load, 2 hours to 1 hour to unload. Perfect. Now we start. So I started tweaking it. I said, okay, you know what? We're going to use that as a logic. And then basically, if they have like an extra dining room or they have any other extra rooms, we're going to say that it takes about 1 hour to get through that room and a half an hour to unload it. So we started using that formula, and because we were just quoting on the size, we didn't even care about the inventory. Customer, can you tell us how big your house is? Now, if you're lying about how big your house is, you know, then
But
then that's a problem.
hoarders versus people that are like extremely what's the word where you don't have anything but like one big wall, one big picture. Not modest. I can't think of the name, but we all know like a two-bedroom home that you might live in versus a two-bedroom home that I live in. Dwight, you could be a hoarder. I could be a minimalist. That's the word, minimalist. I finally figured it out there. So, like, do you see that? Like, oh, hey, I got a three-bedroom place. So you're talking, that's 2, 4, 6, that's 9 hours on a
Exactly.
three-bedroom apartment.
Now, again,
So
so you
if my
you're
bedroom was one bedroom, I had a bed, the other bedroom had a crib, the other bedroom had a cheap desk like I'm sitting at now. Like, do you send me a quote for 9 hours plus travel? I'm gonna be like, these guys,
so
$1,400.
So
Like
we know as a
how'd you
base, it's 9 hours for two guys. Now, obviously, we're going to try to get that down. We're going to say roughly four guys is about 4.5 hours. A lot. So we're going to send you maybe four, or maybe not even four guys. We'll send you three guys because three guys will put us at 6 hours. And you see how kind of like it starts to break down when you start to throw more men on it. But it's like,
there's so many formulas. It's like the more I kind of dive into this, it's pretty cool to see how people do it. I'll tell you how we did it, which is probably you probably think I'm crazy, is if we did a survey and it was 5,000 pounds, our guys could move 1,000 pounds an hour,
yeah,
origin, destination. So for me, it was 5 hours plus travel. Now, I also knew what crews I had. I knew efficiency crew. I knew our A crews, like we were talking a couple weeks ago, and I knew our basic A minus crews, and I knew our B crews. We didn't have C crews, but it was either 1 hour, or if I could project and look out ahead through my CRM or software and say, hey, geez, this is the crew I have available for the day for next Thursday. These guys operate just a little bit slower. So I might, instead of doing 1,000 pounds an hour, it might be, or I'm sorry, an hour to move 1,000 pounds, it might be 1.15 hours to move 1,000 pounds and work
mm.
up the quote that way. But or if you had elevator, obviously adding 30%, long carry stairs, you know the math on that stuff. But
So yeah, with elevators, that was always challenging, but I believe I know figuring out the formula for that. But with stairs, we did 30 minutes per flight of stairs. But again, because of how many people were hitting those stairs, that
yeah,
price will come down. So again, everything was broken down into formulas. Like you said, if we averaged 9 hours starting out with this move, that's two men based on those 9 hours. Now let's say those two men had to hit four flights of stairs in total at both between both locations. Okay, well, four flights of stairs, that's projecting another 2 hours. So now we get, 4 men on that job instead of it being 2 hours at the stairs with 4 men is 2 hours instead of 4 hours. So it's kind of like we started breaking it down that way, but when we start working with like sales call centers, they had their own method. Oh, well, we're going to take every cube and inventory and cube it out, and then basically based on your formula of 1,000 pounds per guy, we're going to do it this way. And it started kind of changing up my internal process where I was like, maybe I should quote that way. But I was always 10% the way I did it.
yeah.
And the way I did it, it was for the hoarder situation. So you said, hey, you're a minimalist and the other person's a hoarder. I'm quoting for the hoarder. And if I can save you money, yes, that's a negative variance.
I like the inventory personally, just because when I did, we were the highest price movers in the area, and it always came down to. So I'll use your company, I'll use Dwight's Moving and Ryan's Moving for an example. I call the up with a customer and they say, "Hey, Dwight's Mac Moving Company is $450 less than you on a local move." Like, ah, and that's what I asked the customer. Hey, well, let's compare inventories to make sure that we're apples to apples. And they're like, "You're the only company that sent me an inventory. You're the only one that had me review an inventory." And I said, well, when you look at that list, is everything that you see in that list room specific, name specific? Is that still going? Oh yeah. And I said, what's Dwight? What did they present you with? Oh, they just gave me a price over the phone. I told them it was a two-bedroom. I'm like, oh, is it an estimate or is it a guaranteed price? Oh, it's an estimate. Okay, well, I've got a guaranteed not to exceed. So this is my max dollar price based on everything you show me. Now, if you move some things or some things are a little bit less, it's going to be less. But what's Dwight's price going to be? It's an estimate. They didn't do a proper inventory. They're just kind of slapping something on the wall, potentially
Mm.
lowballing. Now, I didn't say lowballing in my thing, but I won so many jobs that way by having a super proper inventory because the customer is like, wow, this guy cares. And then I'm taking notes under the particular pieces when the customer is like, oh, this is my great grandmother's, oh, the damage on the feet. I'd make those notes on my tablet.
Now that's the rebuilding
Inventory.
poor portion of it. So that's a whole different thing, and ultimately it depends. Like you said, most customers call in rushy.
Yep.
Hey, I got a two-bedroom. We don't have that much stuff. We're moving from here to here. How much is it gonna cost me? Well, goddamn. All right, give me a second. Give me a second. It's gonna and you can go through the whole piece, but if they're at work, they don't know their inventory, and you can send them a video link to record their home when they get home. But that's if they want to do their homework. Now, again, not every customer is your customer.
Yep.
So it comes down to your process and what works for you. In the earlier years, this worked for us, but then when the guys get to the house and the customer is not packed or the customer has way too many boxes, this is when that process does become a little flawed.
Yep.
Because you're like, well, hey, we estimated that based on if you had this much room, but then, they like to say, oh, well, can you take this extra sofa to another customer's house? Well, we didn't originally plan for that, so that's going to cost you more.
I
Or,
always ask the question, man. I get crucified in the moving world for this. When your crew shows up to a customer's house, there's way too much stuff there. There's additional pianos. They're not packed. Whatever the case is, whose fault is that? Is that the customer's fault they're not packed? Or is that a process and your company's fault for not following up, following through, making sure that they are packed? Or if they're not packed, do they need assistance with packing? For the
Mhm.
longest time, the first like 2, 3 years of my career was the whole company was, well, it's the customer. Customer didn't do their job. The customer didn't pack. Well, the customer packed, just not how we expected them to pack. They didn't have the
Mhm.
box tops closed. They had things packed in shoe boxes, or they had 6.0 cartons filled with books and bricks, for goodness sakes. Like, whose fault is that?
Oh,
Is
you're
that the
not going to.
customer's fault, or is that our fault, as being industry experts, sort of say? It's our fault, is what I've always said. And I know I take a lot of flack on that, but if your customer's not ready, they're not packed, they're not unsure, they're bringing too much shit, whatever the case is, that's your fault. You didn't
Yeah.
do a proper inventory. You didn't do a proper, dived into the questions and things. That's your fault. Not
And
you, Dwight, but
you ain't gonna give me a nightmare. I had a job one time where one of my guys was short for the day. Let's just say that. So I had to go on the field with a friend of mine who done moving with me when I first started the company. And he wasn't in the best of shape, but I just needed a warm body. So I said, all right, you know what? Just be out here, be a warm
this move's
body.
already starting off bad.
You already know. And we were coming from a second floor,
Oh
and
no.
the customer had books in a medium-sized box packed. So you already know that that's a problem. So the box is super heavy. We're trying to dolly down the stairs, but the stairs are kind of like a U-turn. So, you can't dolly down those stairs. So you want to carry it, but then the box is breaking out the bottom, and one of the boxes actually broke through the bottom. So now you got almost like 1,000 books on the floor, and you're just like, oh my God.
You better get some library carts in the elevator in that building is what it sounds
Yeah.
like.
So, but yeah, it got crazy. But yeah, it comes down to making sure that the customers have the right supplies. But Ryan threw me off track, y'all. So
Yeah,
back
I'm
to
not sure what we're talking about today. I feel like bonusing and you got me all off. It's probably because my head is like all messed up.
So we was talking about team efficiency bonuses and making sure the guys got done within a reasonable amount of time, y'all. Back to that one.
Yeah, we're
So
kind of talking about that just a little bit. Not really.
so basically calculate the expected time for each job based on load size and distance. Reward teams that meet or beat the estimated time without sacrificing quality or safety. So if you realize that these guys are getting the job done fast just because they want to get a bonus, one, it's hurting your variance in a sense. But in two, are they getting any damage claims? If they're getting damage claims followed, by getting the job done fast, then this program is going to be flawed to begin with. So you're going to realize that your safety bonus is depleting because of this efficiency bonus. So you kind of got to find that median ground where you're like, okay, well, hey, we don't want our claims bonus going down, our claims pot going down because they want to get an efficiency bonus. It's like, how do you have you? It may be a conflict to even have both.
It looks like you had so many bonuses being paid to team, man. They all conflicting. Like, hey, getting it done fast. Oh, you didn't get it done because there's a claim. Show up on time, but you got here too early, so you don't get your bonus. Or you showed up late, but you didn't get simplify just to keep I'm just messing with you, man. I know you didn't operate that way, but keep it simple is what I would say. Keep it simple because you're 100% right. You could have a variance piece where you want the guys to be super efficient, but because they're rushing, they trip, they fall, they get hurt. There goes your safety bonus, there goes your claims bonus. So, you know, I'd have that dialed in and not be like Ryan at Dave and Buster's, basically.
Yeah. So, and then you can have the next one is Employee of the Month rewards. So, recognize and reward top performing movers monthly to foster healthy competition and improve morale. This program is considered factors punctuality, customer feedback, and teamwork. So, reward the top movers of the month with a cash bonus or a gift card, not Dave and Buster stuff. Highlight their achievements in company newsletters or meetings. Rotate criteria to include different performance metrics over time. So again, like kind of like how I hit on in the beginning of this podcast, where we were talking about we did it based off of the 5 stars. So if the employees got the most, whoever got the most 5 stars for the month, and we would do two groups, the drivers and movers, all so that basically because we know drivers are going to be typically on more jobs than probably those movers. If you have a bigger team, we have 4 guys. So like obviously most jobs are three men jobs. So the movers are always swapping out, but the driver is very consistent. So it wasn't fair that the driver was on 30 jobs, but mover maybe on 20 jobs, and the driver's constantly always winning. So we had drivers compete against drivers, movers compete against movers. And whoever got the most 5 star reviews, that was kind of like how we used as, hey, you're the employee of the month. We have these incentives for you, and kind of go from there. And it kind of allowed them to compete with each other. What's your take, Ryan?
I'm gonna end up driving the train off the track, so I'm not gonna comment on this one. No,
No,
I do think, that's just, I think that's a great way to obviously bonus out, have a little bit what, but I think the most important thing with that in the monthly awards and quarterly awards and things like that, that just, building that amazing culture, I think is what that really boils down to. The fact that, hey, ownership cares, we care, we're just trying to build something more. When you're doing things like that, you're building more than just a bonus program.
mhm.
You're building on a rock solid culture and a rock solid team, hopefully, if it's done right and tracked right. So I love everything about the mover of the month. You can even have some funny awards. I just saw a mover.
I think
Uh,
I know who you're talking about. Go ahead.
yeah, we'll leave that out. They just had some pretty funny awards for 2024. One I
Mhm.
will question because it sounds like they don't have an HR program because the one award I saw, I was like, dang, how you gonna get away with that? Like,
What was the name of it? You can say the name.
I don't even want to say it. I don't even want to say it. But let me actually, I'm gonna look it up real quick just to make sure I don't mess it up. But I was a little blown up. Maybe it's gone by now. Hang on, here it is. I have it right here. This is the Tight Ass Award. All the other ones were great, right? But that one I just kind of came up on. And I'm like, man, most pep in the morning I think is good. Best customer service. Most morning, most tape used. Like I like that. That's pretty cool. Most Jack Mover. Hottest in the office. To each their own on those ones. I'd just say HR wise, I'd be very careful with a couple of them. But no, I love the fact that what they did is they have the picture with the award, and we used to do some funny awards as well. Just at our Christmas party and the annual quarterly parties that we would have, just to keep things light, airy. But they were awards, and you would get some type of monetization or monies, I would say, with those awards. But it's a way to keep things fun, light, and airy, and like nobody wants to be the guy that uses the most. You don't want the most tape award, right? You don't want to
No,
use
not
tape.
at all.
You want those bands, right? But
Yeah.
I
But
don't think
no,
I want to.
that's good that at least that it shows that management is paying attention. Now, again, some of those things iffy from an HR standpoint. And
It could mean something different too, right? Like I said, this is outside looking in, but I'm just like, I'm going through. I'm like, oh, this is bad. I'm like, this is awesome. And I'm like, wait, what'd that say? I had to rewind
yeah.
the video. Like, hold on a second. But no,
So yeah,
kudos
no, it
to
definitely
that.
probably has a different meaning to it. But what again, I guess jumping off the topic a little bit, what is your take on that from running a small company and having to be HR, and know that some of this stuff is, obviously a no-fly zone for a company and being human at the same time, conflict.
That's it's very tough. It's something that I obviously, I've got the sub shop at home. I've got a very amazing team that we work with. We are like one giant family. But at the end of the day, we are not family. They're employees, there's bosses, there's management, and then there's ownership right here. So I've caught myself a few times like, the girls will be laughing, joking, and they'll say something, and I'm like, whoa, like can't say that. Now, I could say that, but my whole thing, I always look at, hey, you never know what potentially could happen, right? If employee gets pissed off or whatever the case is, could they bring something up that I said last week as a joke that could be taken real serious, that could get me in some serious trouble? And I think unfortunately it's just the world that we live in today.
Hmm.
Um, but it's, when I'm chatting, we're laughing and joking. I always tell the girls, like, I got something to come back with that, but HR is going to tell me no. So I still play and have a little fun with it, but I basically blame it on HR as to why I can't come back with a really badass rebuttal, even though I want to, but it's tough.
Yeah, it is.
You
And we
want to
used
be
to hire.
friends, you want to be ownership, but you want to have that blend, but there also needs to be kind of that line in the sand as well that you can't cross and they can't cross.
Yeah, and we
And that's
hired a
tough.
couple of female movers that were, hot, but at the same token, from a manager standpoint, it's just like, oh, I would never tell you that. I would never admit it either. And at the same token, the moving guys noticed it, and they were kind of like, pampering. Oh, well, you don't have to grab that heavy piece. I'll grab that heavy piece, or all this stuff. And
Yeah, you run the stairs and I'm gonna run behind you.
So now you got to have all these sexual harassment. One, which is legal in New York, anyways. You have to have a sexual harassment trainer once a year. Not that everybody does it, but they
The
tell you
training's ridiculous, by the way, like absolutely ridiculous.
it
That
is.
they paid somebody to come up with this That's a whole nother thing. But I remember taking that. I remember sitting at the computer. I'm like, is this serious? Like, you've got to be an idiot, like an absolute. But you stick HR out on a job and listen to the guys talk in the truck in the dispatcher's office, like. I can only imagine, but
Uh-huh.
it's
So,
just a fine blend.
but yeah, that's why you kind of, as the owner or so like that, kind of got to hold yourself to a higher standard, which sucks. But it's like, hey, you know what? These guys in the truck, they talking about all types of weird stuff about what they'll do to that girl that they just seen at the gas station, and you're just kind of like, all right, guys. So about this move coming up.
Yeah, I'm gonna turn the music up real quick. Let me turn the music up, especially if you're in the truck and you hear him talk. I remember being in the truck and listening to the guy, and it was like I was new in the moving world. I think, well, I say new. I was probably maybe a year in, and I booked a job, short a guy, as we all have to jump on jobs. I jump on in the truck, and I'm listening to the driver and the laborer and the other guy in the back talk about the last project, how they went in the parking lot on lunch and they were smoking weed in a bowl, and I'm
Oh,
just
oh,
like,
oh, yeah, that's great.
and I'm like, oh, what project? And they're like, oh, the school And I'm like, so you doing this in a school parking lot? Like, I don't care that you do that, right? But like, you did that in a truck? Like, why are you like so many? As much as I love being on the trucks, half the time I'm just like, man, I can't be on the trucks. I can't hear this shit.
See, you traumatizing me again, Ryan.
You know all about it. You probably caught your guys doing stuff.
Now that's why I end up putting dash cams inside the truck, and then I had to worry about why was the blind for to block the sunlight down, blocking the camera,
Yeah,
and then
that
like,
piece of tape
oh,
that went over. Then you hear a little bubbler in the background. Blah, 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 blah. You're like, what? What? And then the piece of tape peels back.
and I'm
No.
just like, guys, so why do we have tape on the camera? Or why is the blind block? Oh, the sun be in our eyes. Yeah, well,
Yeah, the
uh-huh.
camera's in your face. That's why that blocker's down.
But hey, again, it's an interesting thing because obviously one of my drivers did end up getting pulled over at a road stop, but at that point he just had like little smidgets at the bottom, little crumbs at the bottom of his book bag. But when the
Don't
officer
matter.
scooped it, it gave the officer a little bit enough to say, oh well, it's enough to say that you're underneath the influence or you have narcotics in a truck. So we're gonna have to suspend you or put you out of service for the day or so like that. So that was a nightmare because you're like, well, damn, these guys are on their way to a job. The customers are expecting them. They get pulled over at a roadside assistance section just to find that.
We had a customer the one time tip with beer, like bought this really high-end beer,
Hmm.
and gave it to our driver. And DOT checkpoint. Now he wasn't drinking, nothing that they were all intact. He caught hell for that,
Hmm.
for having this like fancy six pack in the back of the cab.
And that is crazy because they don't care that that it's a gift. They don't believe it. They don't care. Like you got an empty truck and you got beer.
Yeah, you got a driver and three laborers and a six pack, 12 pack case of beer in the truck. Like, oh boy.
Hmm. So, all right. So then the last tip we got, guys, are referral bonuses. Ryan hit on earlier. He must have read my article early, but no.
I got up late, man. I didn't read it, but
So, but it says referral bonus. Encourage movers to help grow your team by referring qualified candidates to open positions. This not only saves you on recruitment costs, but also ensures that new hires come with trusted recommendations. So if you have a good mover who's sending you people they know, likelihood in most cases that person is probably going to be good, or that person is going to be um, dependable because obviously, hopefully, you're taking referrals from a person that you trust in the company to say, "Oh, we know what this guy's been dependable. He's not breaking things. He's not reckless with things." You're really taking a legit referral. So most people are associated. They're associated with people. They're associated with people the way they act. So if you see that they're like crazy, they're doing all this type of drugs or in your truck, and you've been telling them not to do drugs and all this other stuff, that's probably not the person you want to hire. But basically, how this works, and again, it's all going to be how you feel you can work all these bonuses into your budget. At the end of the day, these are just ideas. So again, just as an example, offer movers $100 to $200 bonus for each referral candidate who's hired and complete a probation period. Make the program ongoing to maintain steady pipeline of talent. So again, if you're going to do $100 to $200, maybe you could do a probation of 6 months. Hey, if this person's here for 6 months, I'll give you $200. Or for me, like Dave and Buster's, if they're here for 6 months, I got you with 100, and they're here for a year, I got you with another 100.
I hit you with a bottle of water after 90 days.
But hey, it's just you just referred them. Don't worry, you ain't doing the work. We doing all the leg lift.
Now we always had an open pipeline of prospects, sort of say of new hires. I mean that was key to our success of always having healthy, bright talent, and also looking outside the box, not looking for movers and packers, and looking for great people, great attitude, great effort is all we look for. We can teach moving. Moving is not difficult, and I think that's one place that we kind of see. I'm getting off track again. I gotta quit.
Yeah.
Got me off track, but yeah. I love the employee referral incentives, 100%. 90 days, 6 months, 1 year is kind of my 3, 6, 12. But
And, and for those that obviously these are the 5 tips that you guys could be using to effectively increase your movers hourly rate without increasing their hourly rate. But lastly, I would say if you guys, because I know you guys closed out the year, it's January 1st now. You hope you better close out the year in December. Um, we did evaluations or merit increases or bonuses, however you specific people like to use the terms. And we gave bonuses to our guys to increase their hourly rate. And the way we did that was offer specific metrics that were measurable. Not that we liked this individual, not that they were deserving of it because they've been with us for so long. It was measurable and it was as non-biased as possible. So what I would do is I had an operations person or a dispatch person. I would have the dispatcher or operations person, whoever's head of that department, do an evaluation on that employee. Those 6 areas that they're evaluating them on would have been, appearance. Is this person specifically in uniform? Are they groomed? Are they hygiene not is crazy every day? Something that's measurable. And it's obviously not that hard to tell if this person is out of uniform 3 times out of the week, out of a 5-day week, that it's noticeable. Are they, wearing paint on their pants because they were painters and in their side hustle? Are they looking decent?
What
And
if your crew members only have two t-shirts, right? Two company t-shirts, and they're working a 5-day work week, and they show up on Wednesday with no shirt? Is that the guy's
so
fault he's out of uniform because he's not doing laundry every other day?
So that was an issue in the beginning, but and again, I think what we
Lost some
decided
shirts.
to do was we decided to give the guys between around like 3 shirts on average. So that hey, we know that they're not working probably a whole 5 to 6 days. We weren't open 7 days. We kind of closed it down on the seventh day, but we knew that basically they worked 6 days a week. That they basically, hey, they had a day off. They definitely had at least 1 or 2 days off. That they should be able to wash their clothes. Um,
I
But
think
nevertheless, the second metric we would use is customer service. Are we getting complaints from customer service customers that these guys are, being rude, they're not getting the job done, they're damaging stuff, etc. And then we had training as the third metric. Hey, how are they doing on their training? Are they understanding the material that we're getting them? They at least need an 80 to pass their training. And if they're just selling it for the bare minimum, hey, that's going to have an effect. So, and then I think the last area was internal use, internal, how are they treating their staff members, how are they treating upper management, etc. And with these 4 areas, we would be able to determine, hey, they got 80% in this area. They got another 80% in this area. Their average review comes out to about 60 to 75 cents increase. Now, some people do some crazy increases. Oh, we're gonna get them $2, $3. It it doesn't merit that you giving them high bonuses is going to get the results that you want. But if you don't have horrible bonuses, it gives them a sense of direction to work towards. And that's kind of like how we would do it every year. And then basically, once the operations person did the review over that person, it goes up to me. And then I would, because I'm overseeing operations as well, I would look at it, I would say, oh yeah, well, let me do my due diligence. And now 2 people had eyes on this. So that's where the non-biased part came in. It wasn't just based on, oh, well, the dispatch, he really don't like that person. He just gave them what he wanted. So I don't know if y'all had a review system like that, or y'all just I don't know. Some people just give people a raise.
Well, I was against the annual raise just because I thought what we were doing at the time, and just hear me out. Again, I think a lot of people think I'm crazy, but say you're my, number two guy, number three guy, number one guy, doesn't matter. But did the um did the peer review, you knocked it out of the park, you've done everything. And I said, Dwight, you're gonna get a raise this year. You're gonna get a raise on your hourly. I'm gonna give you 50 cents an hour. You look at that on a 40-hour week. I'm saying, hey, great job. I'm praising you up and down. Great job, this is it. Now you're getting 50 cents an hour. Some people, oh yeah, 50 cents. But at the end of the day, that's $20 a week. And then you go ahead and do the taxes out of that. What, $15 is all they're getting? So I prefer more of, hey, if you do the peer review, that I rather cut $1,000 check, $1,500 check, or something like that. Give them a large sum up front, keep that same hourly wage, and just more again, that performance-based pay, I think is the way to go.
See,
Because
but
if
you
you're
can't look at
increasing
it that
50
way.
cents, huh?
You can't look at it that way. Like I get it. I work for retail, and retail was telling me, "Oh, we're gonna give you a 30-cent increase
To me,
after a
it's an
year."
insult. That's an
Yeah.
absolute insult. At least for
So
me, right?
yeah, no, I get it.
Congratulations on the raise, but I'm going to get an extra $5.50 a week in my check. What, I can't even get a number one at McDonald's for that.
Yeah, and I get it. And I get it. And for me, I felt like the lowest we would do would be 50 cents. The lowest, and that's if you are underperformer. And even then, if you were like, and that was a median, like your average scores were like a 60 or something like that. Anything less than that, it's like, why are you still here? You're unsatisfactory worker. you're still here and you're looking for a raise. So, so we would do like no less than 50 cents, but probably no more than like a dollar. And again, depending on the position, if it was a salary position, we would do probably like a 1 to 2% increase
Yep.
versus like a actual dollar figure of their salary. And again, they had to earn that 1 to 2%. But I know
I
we
just
talked
put,
about a lot, y'all. Left y'all with a lot to think about. We are at the top of the hour. I'm pretty sure Ryan got some meetings. I got meetings. Um, but definitely look to implement some of this stuff so that you guys aren't breaking the bank every week. Continue to tune in to Mornings with Movers on YouTube. Like, comment, and subscribe. Show some love out there.
awesome.
Anything on your mind?
Yeah, guess like we'd love to open it with obviously Dwight. This is your show. I've been honored to be a part of it. I've been having fun with you for quite some time on this, but love bringing some guests on. Is anybody that's listening to the show potentially want to pop on, have some fun, hear their input, bring up some topics, and chop it up? How do they, if somebody wants to be on your show, how do they get a hold of you? How do they do that? And is that something that is Dwight going to let people on Dwight's show?
It's Mornings with Movers, y'all. He gave me too much credit. But yeah, if you definitely want to tune in, definitely email me at training@maxmoving.com. So training at MACKS moving.com. Or find me on Facebook. I'm always on Facebook. Reach out to me. We can get you on the show. If you got a message to share, we want to hear it. And yeah. But otherwise, turn up is the beginning of the year, January 2nd.
Crazy.
We'll see y'all next
2025.
week.
Where did 2024 go? I feel like we were just leaving 2023 going, man, that was a tough freaking year for a lot of companies. Excited for 2024. Now 2024 is gone. So I'm blown away, man. I'm 1 year older. It's 2025. Where has the time gone?
hmm So, but all right, Ryan, keep turning up. I know you're gonna do what you do. I got some, you know me, I got some plans for this year and some good hopes coming out, hopefully in the next few weeks.
Yep.
Um, and everybody, if it does, you'll definitely know the exciting news. So, all right, y'all take care. Keep turning up.